ladies and gentlemen, my presentation is divided in 5 sections. An introductory section is how many likes measure happiness. This slogan, this motto, was written by some students on a wall of the School of Theology of the Aristotelian University of Salonika next to the entrance of the library. This question raises immediately the concern over the situation prevailing in the contemporary social networking media and the real or virtual relations among people. And this concern becomes even more severe if we think that in Facebook we may have hundreds of friends, while in our real life we may have 2, 3, or maximum 5 or 6 friends. On the other hand, we are all connected to a broader social network without even realizing, by which we interact, which we influence, and we are influenced by. For example, no matter whether responsibility for an explosion of an act of violence or for an act of solidarity is considered to be personal, however, it also has a collective character, and the bonds of social networks may work as pipes to transmit violence or pipes to transmit solidarity and humane feelings. For the theology of the Church, the key role in this case is played by the human person and the ethos, the morals involved in this person. And this is why in the Orthodox Christian tradition, we point out particularly the relationship with the theandric face of Christ, as well as with the saints. Moreover, when we speak of the use of the internet, we need a different approach to the personal emails, different approach for the journalism websites where people write signing with their name, a different approach for anonymous or pseudonymous websites, and a different approach for the content of a digital library, a different approach for Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And it is true that concerning the different websites of Christian and theological content of parishes, priests, monks, or other groups of individuals, there are several problems which have to do with the fact that the theological discourse has become independent from the liturgical, ecclesiological, and patristic interpretational framework. And there is now an expression of private theological discourse, which means a sliding off to methods of low-level secular journalism. As a result, a few months ago, in December 2014 and January 2015, the Holy Synod of the Church of Greece has addressed this issue and has issued a relevant circular. Second section in my paper. Are we heading towards an internet society? Because there are scholars who speak of a change in anthropology, a shift in anthropology, because just a small device of a smartphone may be an extension and inseparable companion for man. And they also speak of socialization without the physical presence of individuals. And it has also been claimed with arguments that modern audiovisual technology and television cannot be used for the transmission of the Christian message. However, this last attitude seems to entrap the potential of the evangelic message and be restricting the manner of its dissemination using modern means. It is true that no way can we replace personal relationship in the work of evangelism, but this does not mean that the modern technological means are omnipotent and destructive against the divine word. If a word has even spoken through a donkey in the case of Balaam, why cannot the God address his message also via the modern human technological achievements? It is true, however, that the changes that have taken place recently in the manner of communication, information dissemination, learning, entertainment, and even labor are so radical that we have not had any time to realize them and study them in depth. The contribution of internet in all the above is a catalyst. Many people speak of virtual reality. Others speak of guided information or misleading information. Others speak of internet violence or technological determinism. Some others see the use of network with optimism, some with pessimism. And each side has its own arguments. There are, however, huge issues that emerge and have to do with the unification of space and shortening of time due to the rapid speed of electronic technology. So we have now a new type of society, the internet society, and we also have a new economy, the economy of information capitalism with the parallel growth of cultural imperialism. It is extremely interesting to point out that society appears as a living body, as a living organism, and technical networks appear as the nerve system of society. And then the network network organism may even become the object of religious worship. It is also claimed that digital technology, instead of bringing about unification of mankind, contributes to the generation of new inequalities and exclusions, intensifying the digital gap between the developed and the developing world, because the image of social network and the internet in the rich countries of the North are completely different from the countries of the third world. For example, in Africa, the number of population, the percentage of population that has access to the internet is 26.5%. In Europe, it's 70.5% in average, which has access to the internet. In Denmark, the percentage is 96.08%. In Greece, the average access to the internet is with 57.83% of the Greek population. And this shows the gap. Now, third chapter in my paper, interactions, dependence and virtual reality. Despite the remarks on the negative consequences of the use of the internet, it is true that all human activities are connected today via the social networks and are supported by those. Several church circles who had been criticizing the impact of the use of internet became then active users of the internet. In Greece, we have officially operational websites run by holy bishoprics, monasteries, parishes, church organizations, educational institutions. We have church media. We have 353 websites, radio stations, TV stations, digital libraries, and so on. This means that the initial question, whether these are compatible to the dissemination of the Christian message, the question has been answered in practice. And if we add on those the hundreds of blogs by different Christian groups or individuals, theologians, and so on, we are actually talking about a new internet theological Babylon. So we need to be very cautious and very careful with quality, the manner, the persons, and the mentalities fostered in this Babylon. And we should also be very careful with the charismatic speech, which may obstruct the life in Christ and create confusion in mind. On the other hand, there is a strong debate on the fact that we live in a virtual reality, and this is understood in different ways. It either means, for some people, that contact to reality has been lost, or that information is shaped based on constructed images, or that the imaginary is considered to be real, or the minor is promoted against the major. In any case, it is true that development of technology and the ability to simulate, to equalize rather the real with the imaginary environment contribute to the creation of a virtual life, virtual relations, a virtual freedom, virtual love, and virtual culture. However, virtual reality does not concern only the viewers and users of electronic mass media and social networks. It also affects those who bear the name of the Christian and leads them to forms of virtual sanctity. Otherwise, how could we explain the fact that in the economic crisis, many Christians have lost their hope in God and have lost their eschatological expectation and we were fully identified to the spirit of the world. How one can judge the behavior of those who hide their faces behind electronic media, which are self-advertised as Christian and Orthodox and broadcast electronic violence using unfamiliar expressions, unbelievable slanders, and blatant lies to those who do not agree with them. And one wonders, can we sacrifice the ecclesiastic ethos of a broken heart and vigilant consciousness in the name of missionary zeal? How can we have a tendency for violent imposition of even the best ideas and intentions to the spirit of Jesus Christ, who, when he was reviled, he did not revile in turn, and when he was suffering, he did not threaten. Fourth chapter in my paper, the responsibility of the user, transmitter and recipient. The internet is a medium and an instrument, a tool with all its negative and positive aspects. Let's point out some of those. Constant reference to electronic networking sometimes replaces, substitutes God's reference to God. Pathological addiction, creation of a virtual reality, fortification behind anonymity, individualization of entertainment, reduction of distances, easy and cost-free access to libraries and information, shift in the change we view place and time. However, could these all lead to a new anthropology? Do these all affect the consideration of contemporary men? It's not easy to answer these questions. Future will show. For the time being, we need to be vigilant and we need to be able to get the signs and the messages of our times, as Sister Sarah said this morning. It is worth pointing out some points of the decision and circular issued by the Church of Greece in January. The attempt to pastoral care in goodwill on behalf of the chaplains via internet cannot substitute the empirical relationship between the faithful and the chaplain. We should not give the fake impression that visiting those websites can substitute participation in the church sacraments. Third, we have the issue of the ecclesiological frameworks, both for the running of websites and also for the public discourse by parishes, clergymen, monks, and others. Fourth, this discourse cannot be characterized by malice, spirit of discord, propaganda, offense against the reputation of clergymen or laymen, and it is pointed out that this discourse is not just unlawful, immoral, and anti-canonical, but it is also a heresis. Last section, a message from the tradition of the fathers of the church. Abba Dorotheus from the 6th century spoke of the fundamental Christian virtues of love for God and love for the neighbor, and is using a scheme, the example of the circle, which reminds us of the modern social networks. He says that if we suppose we have a circle with a center, this circle is the world and the center of the circle is God. The straight lines which start from the periphery of this circle and head to the center are people's way of life. As people approach God, they also approach one another, and as they get away from God, they get away from one another. They distance themselves from their neighbors. And he stresses that this is the nature of love. The more we approach God by love, the more we get united through love with our neighbors. This image actually presents the interconnectedness of the relationship between man and God. And eventually, this is an exceptional criterion to judge the authenticity of the use of digital media. If the digital media promotes a proximity to God and fellow humans, then the use of this medium is worthwhile. Otherwise, we need to revise the prestige and value of all our internet practices.